What's going on tonight? My usual background is over in the desk, but I decided I wanted to be like JB without his hat. Anyway, it's Christner, the Pundits Pundit. I have no Jenn tonight. I'm going to miss her. She's awesome, but she needs a little bit of a rest. I've got Jay Nelson, the Pundits champion, obviously.
For one night only. Yeah. Sorry if y'all were expecting a blonde girl up here, but she's getting her much needed rest. So you got to deal with me tonight. What's going on, Jay?
Oh, well, I'll put up with it.
Hey, just give me an hour. That's all I ask, man. Just give me an hour.
Hey, let's go 2 if we have to.
Slumber party? Nah, never mind.
Right. Well, there were some big topics we're going to be talking about this week. Huge. Let's talk about the first one and probably the most important. Remember, the women's national team in soccer now makes just as much as the men.
Right. And I'm so glad that we're starting off with this one. So it had been talked about for years and years that the the women's national team should be getting paid as much as the men. Equal pay, make things fair across the board. So here's my personal thoughts. And then I'm going to run some stats to you, and then I'll pass it to you, Jake.
Sure.
So I had always, and just as a disclaimer, just so no one, gets the wrong idea, I will always root for the men's national team. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But just looking at it from a sports fan and analyst standpoint, they've always been mid-tier to me. They've always been mid-tier. Meanwhile, The women's has always been elite. We talked before the show, and Jacob made mention that, the women, they bring the crowd. They really do. But it's a little deeper than that. I have some stats I'm going to run down.
Sure.
So what I'm going to run down real quick is the comparison or contrast, however you want to put it, of accomplishments between the men's and women's national teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so starting with the men's national team. World Cup appearances, 11, first in 1930. Best result, third place, 1930. CONCACAF Gold appearances, 16, first in 91. Best result, now they fared better in this one, champions in 91, 02, 05, 07, 13, 17, 21. CONCACAF championships, 2, first in 1985. Best result, runner-up, 1989. CONCACAF Nations League final, 1 appearance, first in 2021, and they won it all. That was their best finish. Copa America, appearances 4, first in 1993. Best result, 4th, 95 and 2016. FIFA Confederate Cup, appearances 4, first in 1992. Best result, runner-up in 2009. Olympic Games, they won the silver and then the bronze in 1904. Now for the women's. World Cup appearances, 8, first in 1991. Championships, best result, champions in 91, 99, 15, and 19. Now, they kind of combined the CONCACAF Gold and CONCACAF Championship appearances and accomplishments, but we're going to go with 9 in first in being in 1991, and then they were champions in 91, 93, 94, 2000, 02, 06, 14, and 18. Olympic Games, appearances 7, first in 1996. They finished gold in 96, 04, 08, and 12, silver in 2000, bronze in 2020. World Cup women's, they also finished silver in 2011 and bronze in 95, 03, and 07. So when you listen to both comparisons or contrasts, if you want to put it that way, not only just off performance, just off history, just off results, not only have they been deserved to get paid as much as the men, there's an argument they should be getting paid more than the men.
Well, as far as the pay goes, now let's bring up, before we do the comparison to the men, I'm going to bring this part up. Remember 1994, the sports bra deal with the winning the,
that was 99, me and him.
Yeah, 99, I said 94, I'm sorry. 99, the sports bra deal, in which that's the one way that the people actually talked about it for ages, you know what I'm saying? But even then, the crowds they had jacked up crowds. Yeah. Even then. I mean, that is 23 years. And even then, they filled the stadium. The biggest thing about it is the women deserved being equal pay. They deserved it. Now, here's the thing about the men's. No matter what their results were, and you're correct on this thing, in the last few years, just by itself, I would not say like when they were getting older. I'm talking about when they've gotten some young people, like Christian Pulisic and all them.
Mm-hmm.
When they've gotten some young people, they started filling stadiums themselves. See, this is a business. I mean, I wish it was completely results, because if you go by results, women to blow them away.
Yes.
As far as the Women's World Cup and Men's World Cup, it's a blown away statement. You know, the women's winning all those years. But it is by what's filling stadiums. And guess what? They basically, the women have done it more, but the men are starting to themselves. Yes. They're starting to earn it themselves. They're starting to get some stars. It's like, in the end, this is an entertainment business. It's an entertainment business, and the thing is, I believe that the women would make more than the men if the men stopped producing. I really do believe in that part. But here's one thing we have to really understand. Now, there are people out there, okay, Twitter people, the dorks in the basement, you know, however I talk about them. They will say that they want every sport, the women being equal to men. And it's like, it's not there as far as the numbers in. Like, there was a women's hockey league right now that just did a press release that one of the women was the first woman to make $80,000 a year.
Interesting.
And they were putting a press release on that. And it's like, guess what? Congratulations to her. It means that they're probably making more than $6,000 a year, which was what they were doing in those areas. But in these areas, in these stadiums, they're in empty stadiums. It's like a few people. It is. That is more leagues than just like by itself. That's more leagues out there, women's and men's both. Men's too. Like you'll get those arena leagues. There's arena leagues where the players have to sell tickets to try to be able to make their money that week. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's those. But it's like, we're doing, I mean, there's that type of thing. It's like, and there are women's leagues out there. What you have to be able to do is when you're saying things like, oh, we want every sport to have women as equal as men, it's still an entertainment business, and more of them still don't fill stadiums. They're not filling stadiums to do that. And it's like, in the end, this is how you can tell the entertainment. Everything is. There's a church service over there. I saw one of the things on video where they're using the monster trucks and like country singers to try to get a crowd. They filled the stadium, but it's a church.
Yeah.
Everything is an entertainment deal, and it's a business in the end. Sometimes there are winners that don't make money.
Right.
And that's
but
all
you know
I want
what?
the world to see.
But let me ask you this though. Do you feel that if in this context we're essentially putting it on the fans, right?
Sure.
Do you feel that it is generational? Do you feel that it is the previous, well, maybe not the immediate previous, but the older generation of fans where it's like they're just
what? Repeat that again.
Oh, where they just they're just women, and if the men aren't there, I'm not paying attention. I feel like it's a generation of fans or generations of fans who thought like this that's affecting it.
Yes, and they're still old. Here's the thing: you got to realize absolutely it is. There's still a generation that's alive in the older generations. Remember, people last longer now.
Yeah,
and they're still and here's the truth: there are women, plenty of them in small towns, that absolutely believe in being submissive to the man. So many of them still, and they still believe that the men need to be stronger. They have that belief. Well, I mean, this is not a debate of whether this thing or not. I'm just telling you what the truth is. There's the ones that want the man to be strong, and they don't believe in the big, strong women deal. There are ones that still have that. Now, another generation, could that cut into it? But sure, but it's going to be another couple generations before it's cut down completely.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I've said, not trying to sound morbid or anything, but when those generations completely go away, that's when you're truly going to see change. Like with the what is it? I mean, not only just it isn't just women's soccer, like pretty much everything. We have got to we have to have a culture shift here, and it should be more enforcement of, because let's face it, I mean, you heard everything. Easily for the last 20 years, they should have been paid just as much as the men. I mean, the results are there.
Soccer, absolutely. For soccer, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so also, so here's another question for you. Do you feel like it is, and I know it's not, a league where, you got team owners, obviously, and, front offices and such. Do you feel that it's, and moving away from soccer for a second, do you like it the older generation of sports team owners?
Oh yeah.
When you look at, guys like Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, like all these other guys, and that's not sitting here saying that they are like that, but there are men in their demographic that may feel like, I'm not going to take the women seriously because they have that thinking from 50 years ago.
I mean, and forever. And here's the deal. Stephen Jones would have just as much of the thinking as Jerry Jones. He would. I mean, look at the age of Stephen Jones also. He'd be in his 60s. I mean, maybe early 50s, late 50s. You know what I'm saying? See, I haven't checked his age, but he'd be there too. I mean, the thing is, they're going to have that for those. But see, you got to realize now we are going to. I mean, one of the first women owners. If you want to count Gail Benson, for the New Orleans Saints. Then you had the one in Philadelphia, the Eagles. You had that one in the 70s. You had those, but they were so rare. There was a wrestling promoter named Ann Gunkel. Her husband died, and he died in the ring. So, she had to take it over herself. He had to take it over herself, and they were trying to buy her out because they didn't want to listen to a woman all the time. But she held her ground. One of Jim Cornette's biggest, what he talks about is Christine Jarrett. That's Jeff Jarrett's grandma. Yeah. She had to deal with the old boys group, and it's like, but the thing is now, we're going to still have, but see, the thing is to get the women in there, we're getting mistakes. And I'm going to tell you this just to jam in. Like Kim Ng, she is the GM for the Miami Marlins right now.
My Marlins, yep.
Very happy for her as far as her getting the job because she was in the league 30 years. She was in the league. She was with the White Sox in 1990. But the biggest thing about it is, they ran out the GM who built up to a COVID-shortened season. Yeah, COVID-shortened playoff season and a playoff win. And now, and then all of a sudden he's gone. There's no explanation. Where is he now? They have her in. First year she gets 65 wins or 67 wins or something.
Yeah.
I mean, and then what happens? What happens to her if there's not another one, or if there's a bad thing? Are they going to give her the same amount if they don't get it? And then see, it makes when there's such a political thing to jamming it in, and I'm saying there is a political thing to it, then it makes there are qualified women out there that makes it look bad. It makes it look bad, especially if the situation is bad. It's not Kim Ng's fault. Miami is an absolute grease fire.
Yeah,
it is a grease fire of a franchise. And it's like they have no chance, and it's not her fault. And then what is she going to get another chance afterwards? And when you make it political and you make it, we've got to get this in, we got to, and it's like, no, because then it makes it worse on ones that are that also might have a chance. They might be good. They might actually be good, and it's going to make it worse. And this is the thing. And the Good Old Boys Network does do this
all the time, and also keep in mind that. Number one, she's already a female, so the odds are against her. Then number two, it is political. Those positions are always political because, it's just like if you were running for office for mayor, governor, president, city, or whichever, okay? The guy that you're replacing, you inherit his stuff.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Yep.
Especially the bad. You inherit his stuff. But there are a lot of people out there that have this forward way of thinking of it's somehow this guy's fault because he's there, or this woman's fault because she's there. And they don't think like the last guy did all of this. You know what I mean? Like how does that work? But here's what I'm getting at. they're going to use that as justification to try to knock that woman out. Is it fair? Absolutely not. But, it's been the way of the world. They live in the moment instead of, oh, well, let me think of the circumstances that led up to this. Or let me think about what this could lead to. Me and you have both foreseen situations in all walks of life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because we're both we're both are very forward, deep thinkers. There's too many people that live. But I say all that to say this, and you mentioned earlier owners and everything. Don't forget about Georgia Frontier of the Rams and Mark Schott of the Reds.
Yep.
I'm not nowhere near the biggest fan of Mark Schott ever.
Don't think anybody is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I don't exactly feel bad, but at the same time, even just in the position of a female owner in sports, I mean, the odds are against you. Like, it's a man's game. And especially if you're coming in right now as a female owner, guess what? Your competition is not just the other team. It's a slew of generation of owners who think you shouldn't be there in the first place.
I have a belief that Marge Schott I think Marge Schott's a 50-50 deal. Marge Schott was 50% her terrible beliefs, and the other 50% having to be the tobacco spitting, heavy smoking, chain smoking, cussing bitch. And I mean, and stuff like that to deal with she is completely, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying she's completely outnumbered. So she had to act like a man. And like I said, she had terrible. Don't get that wrong. She had terrible beliefs, horrible beliefs. But guess what? Dealing with that world, I'll bet you there were ones that just never acted it out like that. They never said it out loud like she did.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the thing is, there's probably, you go into the 32 owners or whatever, she's 31-1. So she's probably meaner than they are.
Yeah.
And no, the biggest thing is, what we're going to have in the future of ownership now, I think if the Denver Broncos don't do it, I think the Chicago Bears will have the first black owner.
Yeah?
I do. It's like, I think the next owner of Denver Broncos easily could be Peyton Manning. It easily could be. But it's like, because he's beloved there. But the thing is, the Bears, you got to think about this for a second. Whether it's Justin Fields or it's the 2023 first-round pick. This depends, okay? Whether it's them, they're going to get a star and a hero going in with a possible dome coming in and getting built. And everything like that. The new ownership's going to get that. This old ownership right now is 100-year-old woman with 80-year-olds. With 75, 80-year-old. It's old, it acts old, it's everything. The new Bears, they're gonna have I can see new jerseys, I can see new everything. And we're gonna see, I don't know who it will be, I'm just giving a guess, but we're gonna see a flashy, new, young type of owner.
Yes. I mean,
huh?
And it's going to be accepted by not only neutral, more objective people, but it's gonna piss off the older generation. It's gonna piss them off because, number one, guys of that generation, they are just stuck in their ways. And there's nothing worse. There are things that's worse than the phrase "they're stuck in their ways." Or that's the way things have always been. Here's the thing. There's a generation coming in there trying to change all that because guess what? How it's always been hadn't always been right.
Well, J.P. Morgan literally was one of the first to have electricity in his house, and his dad went up to him after a party was over and says, "Get this crap out of here. It's going to be a fad. Electricity's going to be a fad." And, I mean, that's the whole thing, and look where we're at now. So, but you know something? Here's the biggest thing that I want to start seeing. I want to see the world just go on forward and ignore so much of the hate and the loud and everything. Because here's the deal. There are a lot of people out there, white, black, otherwise, just regular, just going on. You know what I'm saying? They go on with their life. They go to pay bills. They meet with their buddies. They have barbecues. They don't talk about politics so much. They don't care. And these are the people that are considered in the hate group on no matter what color they are, culture they are, religion they are. They're considered, and they don't even think about it.
No.
And I want to see the world quit making things political. Quit saying every old white guy is hateful. No, they're not. Most of them don't even think about it.
No.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see, and I'm going to say this about Black Lives Matter. I was an Uber driver. I took quite a few of them to their rallies, with poster boards and all. I mean, I saw them absolutely despise the hate and the and the burning down because it was killing their message.
Yeah, and and that's not to say that's not at all saying that all because if you are the type to sit back and say every white man 70 years old and older are just old bigoted racist bats. No, because people forget that back in the 70s, the Panthers and everyone else marching, Martin Luther King, they had white allies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the racists, the Dixiecrats and what have you, they called them Negro sympathizers.
Right.
So absolutely correct. It's not every single one, but we're smart enough to pick out which ones that they are and which ones aren't.
And the thing is that this is where I want, like when I'm talking about the topics that we talk about here, these are the things I don't want to be. I love sideline sports because I don't want to be ESPN. I'm saying this. Even if we're getting, I don't want to be because I want to dig deep into what we talk about and get a real debate, not Stephen A. screaming over anybody or JJ Redick pandering to anybody. I don't want that. I don't want, because guess what? It's pandering. It's what it is. No questions asked. It's ass kissing. Yeah. I don't want any of that. I want a real conversation. And if we could get this station and this company bigger, then they could start seeing people in this world that watch can see real conversation. Then we all talk. Then we can solve something. Because right now it's just everybody saying, "Oh, this guy's hateful. This guy's hateful." We had a horrible time. We had a horrible tragedy in Buffalo. And I can promise you 99.9% of the world, of the white folks in the world, okay, 98 even, we'll just say we'll go lower, despised it. And they're sad and they're crying right now themselves. But if you get to the media, every single one I'm going to say, if we get on, like one of the things on MSNBC, somebody was saying, you got to brand every Republican a brand a racist and you'll win the thing. And it's like, this is just for one thing, that's a terrible strategy. Second of all, you're just keep causing hate. And it's like, we got to have real conversations here. And that's what I want to do on this show.
Right. Absolutely. But the thing about that is, in getting toward that change, is putting the message out there that, everything should be equal regardless of color, gender, race, religion, sex, what have you. Getting back to, the women's national team. Yeah. It got to the point where it was like, man, how much more they got to win before y'all are convinced? You know what I mean? Or do we have to roll some heads, get some people out of power, and then start bringing in more of the money for these women, Because I've always stuck by this. It's generational. It's generational, And if people do not believe that bigotry and racism among sports owners is generational, I challenge you to look up George Preston Marshall.
Yeah, I know. I completely. Oh, I mean, and just keep on. Oh, you want to keep going with that? We'll talk now. Dan Snyder. Only difference is he doesn't have to say it. He doesn't say any. He doesn't say it out loud. But come on, See, you got to realize. You got to think about this for a second. Dan Snyder, who had the most not forward, the most backward thinking franchise. And I'm not talking about Redskins because that was the Redskins way before him. Redskins were before him. I'm not going to call it that. I'm not going to get him for that because he took over when it was them. That's not making him backward. I'm just talking about everything else that makes him backward, from the sexual harassment to everything else. Dan, do you know? All of a sudden, he brings in, put it in this way. All of a sudden, after being backward, he brings in a woman's COO, and he brings in a couple of let's see, a black and a Latino people in the front office. All of a sudden, and just as John Gruden gets fired.
Yeah.
And it's like, doesn't it look like that all of that stuff that he's doing, all of a sudden he's forward when his franchise could be in trouble?
CYA.
Huh?
It's CYA. It's classic CYA. It's the exact reason why David Culley got hired for the Texans. It's classic CYA.
And see, but here's what's funny too. I remember I called Lovie Smith is a Dusty Baker of NFL. Lovie Smith would get hired anywhere, just like Dusty Baker, no matter he will be the one. He and Tom will be the two black coaches of the NFL, no matter how. Even if they completely forgot the minority hirings tomorrow, those two would get it because it's considered. Here's the deal. For one thing, they're nice guys, tremendously nice guys.
Lovie is a genuinely good dude.
Yeah, they're good dudes. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, man.
No, they're good dudes. Tomlin's a good dude. And for one thing, Tomlin's cool as hell, too. But it's like those two would get a job in the league if there was 28 other, you know what I'm saying? I've got 30, 32 teams. If there's 28 other white coaches and they keep it for 15 more years, those two will keep their jobs. They are, for the owners, they're the safest people alive.
Yeah.
Got to remember, we're talking about by sports. Craig Hodges was out of the league because he talked about this in 1992.
Yeah, that is true. You know, and you know, there was criticism when Lovie Smith did get promoted to, well, just a little bit. It wasn't even terrible. When he got promoted to head coach of the Houston Texans, because they was like, okay, last time he was head coach at Illinois. It didn't turn out so good.
Oh, it turned out just fine. Give me a break.
You know, yeah, but also at the same time, I say to those people, well, it's also Illinois, so you got to think.
He got a miserable program to a bowl game.
He did
a program with a terrible stadium, terrible facilities. The boosters stink. It is awful, and he got that to a bowl game. I mean, Brett Bielema's not going to get him to a bowl game. He is not. It's like, and I'm not a great fan of Bielema, but even if he's as good a coach as he is, he's not going to get him there. Illinois literally needs to go 0-12. Go get a new boosters, new everything. Then they need to go rebuild the stadium and wait about 10 years, then buy. Because right now they are a 4-win team all the time.
Yep.
And then Lovey got him to 6, and it was because they had a top 10 win on the road.
Yeah,
against the top.
And people, you know, I think they put too much expectations on Smith because they're expecting him out the gate to go and beat Ohio State. Because I mean, at the time period, you know, the Big Ten, and don't get me wrong, you know, a great conference, but at that time period, the Big Ten was pretty much Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, maybe Michigan State, and then everyone else.
See, fans don't understand. This is where I told you the theory I talked about, that it's like if fans start thinking more, or if people don't think more, you don't get a Trump or the Biden in office. You don't get any of that kind of crap because you're thinking. And this is what I was thinking. If you get that thought, you understand that Lovey performed a miracle to Illinois.
Right.
An absolute miracle because guess what? They're going to keep being 4 wins. Bielema, maybe 5. Bielema's not going to get anywhere there. No.
And especially since Michigan just won the conference.
Yeah.
So now the hill's even higher. But it wasn't like they were really beating them before either.
Where's Illinois going to raise money to? Where are they going to raise the money for a brand spanking new stadium? That stadium is tiny. They're as tiny as Georgia Tech's. And it's like, where? And then the field looks terrible. Where are they going to raise that kind of money? You got to realize there are HBCUs right now. I mean, because of Eddie George, because of Deion Sanders, that are raising real money and getting their stadiums, getting facilities, everything like that. And you still get Illinois. You still get Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech's even starting to come forward. And and the thing is, what's Illinois going to do? Where are they going to really raise the money? Unless there's a billionaire somewhere that has the heart. Where are they going to raise that money? Because it is a basketball state.
Yes, it is. just like North Carolina. It's a basketball state. No one is exactly. I mean, I know Wake Forest kind of lucked out a little bit this year, but I mean, let's face it, man. How many? What are the chances in football that Wake Forest, Duke, or North Carolina are going to win the ACC?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, here's the thing: Duke at least had a shot at one time with the right coach.
So did North Carolina.
Forest, yeah, Forest, yeah, right.
No.
Yeah, right. I mean, give me a break. And it's like, guess what? These are a basketball state. That's what Illinois is a basketball state.
Yeah,
and
it is.
See, you don't cry when Illinois football goes bad. You cry when Illinois basketball does.
Yeah, that there's agreed. There's agreed. It's just like with North Carolina. If the football teams are doing bad, oh, it's no sweat. That's who we are. But basketball, let Duke not win the conference or even make the tournament. Or North Carolina.
Just wait till John Shire. Just wait till John Shire has the first 4-game losing streak, and he will.
Yeah,
and he will. And it's like, I mean, especially when Duke goes to the Final Four.
Right.
You know, the year before with K. And Coach K will need to stay away from that stadium so much because the first struggle, they're going to be raising hell for
begging him. Oh, Duke has to damn near go undefeated because the first loss, they're gonna be ringing them up. Hey, man, look, you can go one more year. You know,
yep.
So.
Oh yeah.
But hey, we're at the midway point of the show. I just wanted to remind everybody out there that we are sponsored by the Score No Score app. Jacob, tell them a little bit about the Score No Score.
Like I will keep saying it forever because Dom made it right. Dom DeRubis said it right. It is gambling for dummies, and I love it. I will say that forever, and it would be part. The main thing about it is you go through the inning. Are you watching the Cubs? You watching the Yankees? Do you think they'll score? Do you think they'll not score? Put a good token in there. Figure it out. See, you might be able to win a little bit. If you get lucky, you can do it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Me, I lost all my free tokens when I started. so it's like whatever I need.
It is that addicting.
So
it is that
one of those deals where you have a little bit of fun, and you'll have a little bit of fun, and it doesn't cost a whole lot. You can just put your tokens and keep going.
Awesome, and it's available for download at in your Google Play Store or in your Apple App Store. So wanted to transition into this next topic, and this right here is interesting. Me being a lifelong professional wrestling fan, Stephanie McMahon from WWE had put out on Twitter that she is temporarily stepping away from WWE. We don't know how long. All she said was that she was going to focus on family. Now, many theories have come up about this, and it marks for interesting conversation. Especially since in recent years there have been rumors of a sale of WWE, that Vince McMahon was gearing up for a sale, that Triple H may be taking over. There was even the theory that Shane McMahon was going to take over, but then you see Shane McMahon actually got let go by WWE. So just wanted to get your thoughts on and just have a little conversation about what we think about Stephanie McMahon temporarily stepping away from WWE.
Stephanie McMahon has been working with that company since she was 12 years old. She was a model in their magazines. She took a break for 4 years to go to college, and then she was right back there. First under her mom's thumb, then her dad's. She is over. I mean, you got to realize now she is heading into the 50s. That is telling you something. She's about 46, might be 45, 46. Gorgeous, by the way. By the way,
think,
just letting you know. Absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. She's been there. You know something? You don't go away for family unless one thing, and I have the theory, I think Triple H is sicker than he's letting on. I think Triple H.
Now, see what's going on with that.
I remember he talked about on Stephen A. Smith's show about all.
And he announced his retirement. And he announced his retirement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he talked about his heart. And they talked about his heart, and it's like, here's the thing about this. How much muscle has, and I'm not saying this as the surface deal. I'm asking this about his health. How much muscle has he lost, truly? How is he working out? Got to remember what Triple H on his prime, and going bald and putting the beard and doing all that, he was well
past his prime, yeah.
Yeah, he worked 18-hour days, then brought the personal trainer over at 1 a.m. to work out. That's why he always
Yeah.
looked good. There's
Yeah.
no way.
But then also you got to think, but you also got to think the game is like 52 years old. Bro, going that hard after going for as hard as you have in your younger years, man, that will catch up to you.
Yeah. And it's like, he can't go that hard. I'm not saying he's going to get fat, but he's going to thin down. And it's like, and the thing is, he's not working hard. It's like, you have to wonder if it really affected his heart, and she has to watch him.
I think so. And the scariest part about what you're talking about right now is we're talking about a guy who was more than a pro wrestler. He was a no crap bodybuilder. Like, he watched what he ate. He never smoked. He never drank, and it still came to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the Click talked about he was their driver because he didn't touch a thing.
He didn't. When he first approached him backstage, when he first got there in '95, and he was like, "Hey, someone pointed me your direction because y'all seem like the guys to get up under." And the first thing Shawn Michaels asked him was "Did you drink?" And he said no. And then Shawn got happy and said, "All right, we found a designated driver."
Well, yeah, Nash too, because Nash. See, the thing about Shawn and Nash both had to do that because Scott Hall would get crazy. You know what I'm saying? So they had to drive.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, I have to think it is Triple H, because she has a work ethic second to none. You have to, now you got, and by the way, you've also got daughters 16, 14, and 12 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like, and here's the thing.
Wait, hang on. The old actually is 18. I think the oldest is actually 18 now.
Oh, okay. But you have to think about this. Think about how life has changed. You're okay. Dad's still outnumbered by all the girls. They probably have 2 girl dogs, knowing that. That happens with every family ever. Right. But you have to think about it. Even with that, all you've known Dad is Superman, superhuman badass.
Right.
That's all you've known him. And now his age is going to show. And it's like first time ever Mom truly ever had to take care of something. Not saying that Stephanie's not a badass. Not saying that. I'm just letting that know. It's like, here's the thing whatsoever. She in the boardroom would be a badass and everything like that. But if there is, you watch when they walk together, he is the bodyguard. Yes. He's the bodyguard. He is the man. They're outside of Brock Lesnar, no one's going up to him. No. He just looks it. But this is the first time where she legitimately has to go the whole way with a heart. And it's like, even if it's not true now, it will be in 5 years. Yeah. And it's like, and I don't know if she's coming back unless something would happen to him, because the world's going to get tougher. It's going to get tougher there. And who knows what happened. And see, the thing is, people expected Triple H to be that long because Vince is an absolute freak. Look at his arms at 76 years old. Yeah, at this past WrestleMania, I was like, this old man still got it. Like, he didn't look like he did back in like 99 when he was gracing the cover of Bodybuilder magazine. Yeah, Vince is still looking like he shouldn't right now. But you know what's also crazy? Flair looked the same way. Yep. Guess what? Hulk Hogan still looks it. Hulk still looks jacked up. And it's like, guess what? They're not supposed to look like when they're 50. They're not supposed to. It's like Hulk. Here's the deal. Hulk, like about 67 years old, tried to look just like he saw The Rock one day. He decides, I'm going to work just that hard and do all that. Tore his bicep. Yeah. Tore his bicep. Ever since then, he just decided to do his thing. He tried that. You can't do that at these ages. Your body will break down for that reason. You just have to. For one thing, as you get older, you need to be low impact anyway. Yes, of course. It's a such thing as your mind may be 25, but once you actually get in there, like, dude, man, I remember there was a distinct difference when my first deployment, and I was lifting at like, what was I, about 25? Yeah, about 25 years old. And I was lifting, and even back when I lifted when I was like 22, 23 years old, but there was a distinct difference between that and when I was 32. When I was 32 on my last deployment, and I was in there every single day, and I was just going so hard. But it was taking a little longer to heal, and that was at 32. So, like, so you look at a guy like Triple H who spends 3 hours in the gym daily. Yeah.
And then sometimes has a part two, because you said it. He's going hard at 1 a.m.
Yep.
You know, you talk about a man that doesn't sleep, because guess what? He's got to wake up at like in 3 hours, maybe 4, and he's got to throw the suit on, and he's got to go and conduct business. And when you doing things like that, but I don't know, maybe Triple H saw Vince do it all these years and thought like, hey, maybe I got a shot at it. You know, I mean, I don't know, but you know what? I agree. I think that Triple H might be a little sicker than he's letting on, and she has to actually go and like monitor him for a bit.
Well, guess what? Guess what? There are freaks. Flair's a freak. Vince's a freak, and I'm telling you, Hulk is a freak. No matter how many limps he is, Hulk should not. Hulk's had 10 back surgery. He should not be walking.
He should not be. He actually did an interview where he actually took about 8 to 9 different types of medicines, kind of painkillers a day, because all those drops he did, he's like, man, it is a daily struggle just to get out of bed.
But guess what? The guys like that are freaks because they shouldn't be walking. That's a freak.
They should not.
To even limp and not be in a wheelchair, to still be jacked at your arms are that jacked and being okay, 24 inches my ass, 18 inches, 20. Who cares? That's amazing for that age. And it's like those are, but I'm saying these are freaks of nature. Not everybody's body goes with it. I look at Chuck Norris now. He's 23 years younger than his wife, 23 years older than his wife, and he looks younger than she does.
Yes.
And it's like because he does low impact stuff now, though.
He does. You know, sometimes you got to change it up, and it might mean maybe this is something that Triple H has to. Because Triple H is a good 255.
Yeah, he probably needs. I'd say go down to 220.
Yeah, in which we know he's been bodybuilding since he was in his teens. When's the last time he's really been 220 pounds?
I want to see Hulk. I don't care because I want to see Hulk get down to 235, 240. I mean, dude. I mean, he keeps thinking you want bulk or you're not wrestling anymore. You're not taking bumps anymore. He did even 235, 240 with Hulk now would look shredded, even at his age.
It would be shredded. I mean, even because, well, you look at Batista. Batista's in his 50s. He had to actually, when he left WWE the first time, he was 315. Remember when he went to go fight MMA?
Yeah.
He actually had to shred down to 275. So he was still ripped. And he was still swole, actually. He just wasn't like monstrous like he was, you know. How long do you think Stephanie McMahon is going to be away?
One of two things. Until Triple H is either fine or permanently done, or until the doctor can say that he's monitored enough and they can come back. It's like, and it's like, here's the deal with this. Or one more thing, what's not to do with Triple H, they sell. Then they figure it out from there.
So you do think they may be gearing toward a sale?
You know, Vince will die in 6 months if they do. Do you realize Vince used to promote music? He promoted the Sugar Ray Leonard, Donnie Lalonde way back when, like in '88, for boxing. He has been doing this straight every single day, 365 days a year, since 1974 when he announced. 75, and he was announcing. 82, he started for the first time when he bought the thing in the balloon payments, $250,000. He's been going on 365 days a year since 75, 72 to 70, 74 to 75. You put him out of his misery and he's not doing a damn thing. He's gone in 6 months. So he's the type that it would have to take a hostile takeover of WWE to force him out and do all that. It's hard for me to say unless he truly has like cancer and he's gone. Because and the thing is, right now he's still squatting ridiculous weights. Yeah.
I mean, but you look at this scenario, right? So all you got is Vince right now, but I mean, like, you know, anything can happen. Triple H has got his heart condition. Steph has stepped away, and there's the theory that they both are kind of away right now. Shane McMahon was let go. Linda hasn't been a part of the Federation in a good 10, 15 years. She's in politics. So who would be the next heir apparent?
Oh God, I hate to say Nick Khan, and he sucks. I mean, it's Nick Khan. Nick Khan's wonderful at business, but he's just like Vince, wonderful at business, terrible at creative. It's like
Yeah.
the one thing about WWE right now. If you look back at WWE, if you look back at the matches of the older days, and I'm just saying this 80s, 90s, 2000s, whatever we want to call old. Look at, I mean, there was an old thing in WCW where Rick Rude and Sting fought each other, like in the little worked brawl.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not kidding you. Rick Rude was throwing the Sting around like nothing. And then he allowed Sting on top of him to make it look good, to make the babyface look good. But he was throwing him around like crazy. They wanted to, the best of their ability, make it look like a fight. And you know something, and it's like, got to remember, even Hulk Hogan, who was not a fighter for real, threw punches. Yeah. They all made it to where it was going to look like a fight. You sell, then you try to get a comeback. Mm-hmm. Now it is a Marvel movie. It's a Marvel DC Universe movie.
Yeah.
In the ring, where you fly around, guess what? 100-pound women are getting up from things like table hits that, just like in the movies, 100-pound women, 200-pound men, 150-pound men. They're getting up like that, and they're not selling anything. It's a Marvel movie. And it's like, and guess what? You may get the crowd because they go, ooh and ah, but other than clips and what you see, who really gets interested? Who talks about it? Right. You talked about Stone Cold Steve Austin. You talked about Hulk in the day. You talk about The Rock. You talked about Kurt Angle. You talk about Brock Lesnar now. You talk about, hell, Ronda Rousey. I mean, and she's not been a fighter for ages. You talk about them. People still want to see badasses.
Yes, they
out
do.
there, but they still make a Marvel movie with nobody selling.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true, you know, with the whole Marvel movie angle, because you know, when you look at Marvel films, and don't get me wrong, you know, guys like, you know, of our generation and whatnot, you know, we came up on comic books, so you know, that's always gonna, you know, be a part of us. But when you put on a Marvel or a Marvel-like product, who do you tend to attract? Kids.
And you know, so the kids don't understand the idea of what's really in pain and what's not. You know, they don't understand it because you remember we brought up Hulk. Hulk sold a ton, no matter what people online says. This is a 330-pound man who literally bounced for Randy Savage, who weighed about $190 for ages, and he bounced for him because he could have a show. That he was literally having a chance to lose a fight. What was considered in that? Now, I mean, you literally in AEW had bigger guys bumping for Marco Stunt. You get my point? It's a. You there? Yeah, you're breaking a little bit. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. But you have a bumping for Marco Stunt. And it's like, and Marco Stunt hadn't been around in ages, but I'm saying you had him doing that. And it's like that, again, that is a Marvel. But see, here's even worse. Marvel movies, the 9 Marvel movies storyline was brilliant. The storytelling was brilliant all the way to the end with Tony Stark's death. Brilliant to the T, the way they wrote it. These writers in WWE suck.
Yes.
They're terrible. They're terrible at story. I have been a writer. I've written 10 scripts. They're terrible at putting a story together. And it's like, and it makes you wonder. I mean, Vince tears up these things, then you have to wonder if Vince just thinks about once in a blue moon, just like bringing him and about 2 or 3 others. Okay, Bruce, maybe a couple other new ones since there's no Pat Patterson anymore. Bring in a couple others and just going around his swim pool one more time and just writing. You have to wonder if he thinks about it sometimes because writers are just terrible.
They're terrible nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they can't develop a story arc, a real story arc. The stories that are good, you have a feeling that somebody just had them. I mean, okay, guess what? You can't tell Brock Lesnar what to say. He says it himself. Everybody has said that. You can't write anything for Brock Lesnar, and the shit's good.
Yeah,
his stuff's good, but it's like you have to wonder if Vince thinks about that. It's like, why don't we just do this and leave it to the thing one more time? I mean, I don't think that they're going to be allowed. I think he gets shut down, but you have to wonder because he's tearing up more scripts 5 minutes before the show.
Well, also consider this, that when it comes to Brock Lesnar, sure, they let him on the microphone But Brock, for the very most part of this second run he's had with WWE, he wasn't on a microphone like that because Paul Heyman was talking for him, and no one's going to write for Heyman.
No.
No one's going to write for Heyman.
But you know something about Brock? This is the thing also. They can't, another thing that writers can't do, they can't write baby faces. They're fine with heels. Heels are easy to write for because you can be a little nastier. You can be a little this, a little that. Stone Cold Steve Austin is exactly what people, he is proof, and Rock also, you can make a nastier baby face.
Yes.
With a little bit of an edge. Roddy Piper in '86 had a part. They had a storyline on the house shows where he and Hulk had the same enemies. They still couldn't stand each other from the days in '85.
Right.
And they just they just thought it out. They would almost swing in the ring, and then someone would attack them from behind. And then they had to fight with each other. They had to team up. They had no choice. That Roddy is amazing. That was an amazing baby face because he still has an edge. When he turned into full baby face, I love babies. No.
It didn't work. Yeah. But you bring up Austin, and to me, and Stone Cold Steve Austin has an easy 10, 15 things that made him amazing. And everyone's got their criteria. Everyone's got their number ones. But in my opinion, what made Stone Cold the best, what made him the best, what stood out the most about him was he was relatable to the common person.
Yep.
He drank beer. He swore. And most importantly of all, they put him in a storyline where he went against the boss. Everyone has fantasized about beating up a mean, nasty boss of theirs. So they essentially went out through Stone Cold. Like, oh man, my boss treat me like, what and whatnot. So they go and they turn on the TV. They see Stone Cold stun Vince McMahon. And it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do to my boss. And I want to beat him up. But Stone Austin, just him being a superstar, his character was of a common man. That's what made him so relatable. I would go as far. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I see because you broke up. I thought you were done. I apologize. No, do you know what made Stone Cold the Vince storyline the most? Do you know what made it besides the fact of beating up your boss? It was the fact that the thing about Austin was he was tired of it. It was a perfect story. He's tired of it all. Vince is underrated in this because Vince tried to be the good guy. You know what I'm saying? He tried to be the thing, and then when Stone Cold would not go with it, people already knew Vince was a prick anyway. They already knew he was, so then it was natural. But Vince tried. See, that's the thing about a lot of heels that people don't say, whether it's 80 shows or now. A lot of the best heels actually tried to be good. And something just keeps happening. And you break loose.
Owen Hart.
And that is life. And that's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a lot of crimes happen. You tried to work, you keep getting fired. You've gone nuts, you've done everything right, and then you've gone crazy. And that's how
that was Owen Hart's character down the stretch.
Yep.
That was his character, and with Vince McMahon, when the Montreal Screwjob happened, the one good that came out of it was the birth of the Mr. McMahon character, the boss that would screw you over.
Watch. I'm not kidding you. Watch Vince McMahon in Memphis. They had a storyline in Memphis that a lot of people didn't get to see because it was '93. But they had Jerry Lawler being the babyface in Memphis and heel on WWE TV, which sucked in truth because he was the absolute badass in Memphis. Then you turn the next channel, and he's this coward dumbass with horrible quips. And I hate Lawler on the commentary. Hate him.
I also can see why they did it that way because look back at Bret Hart's character in 1997. He was a heel, but here's the thing. He was a heel in the United States. He's beloved in Canada.
Yes, but he never backed off. no matter whether he was heel or face, he just changed his words, but he never backed off. Here's badass in Memphis, but go across the thing and he's backing off everybody. I can't stand that. It's like
Yeah.
I don't like Lawler. I don't like Lawler as an announcer. I just don't. Whether he's babyface or he's heel, he's like 1980s and it's 2020. It's like, woohoo, Hulkamania, woohoo, puppies. You know, and it's like, woohoo, you know, and whether he's a babyface, he goes over the top. Over the top. And it's like, I don't know if it's Vince or it's Lawler himself, but that doesn't trust the fans to see what's in front of them and trust it. He brings it up way too much. I remember I hated the D'Lo Brown chest protector because that's all he'd bring up in every he'd bring it up sometimes outside of the match and another story. And it's like, we see it. You said it once. That's why I liked Cornette on announcing. He'd bring up the chest protector and that's it. Once. Yeah. We know, you heard it, be done. That's what I wish it was Cornette for 30 years instead of Lawler. Because he got to the point, he was heel or he was face, but he got to the point of the story.
Yeah, he did, you know, and then even Cornette's role as a manager was just so, I mean, I'm not going to say underrated, but he should be top 10 all time.
Oh,
I mean, he's managed. You got him in the top. You got him in the top 3.
Yeah. Well, Cornette to me is one of the greatest pure storytellers. Smoky Mountain to OVW to his own stuff to WCW. The guy if you listen to his podcast, he has notebooks. He has about 250 notebooks of nothing but everything from the money that he made to the stories. Okay, how did this finish go in Odessa, Texas? Now we're going to go to New Orleans. I want to make sure we don't do that same finish because there might be people following us. He's a master of storytelling. And that's the big thing. It's why I liked him as an announcer, because he's going to get it to the point. He trusts the audience, whether he's in Smoky Mountain, whether he's everything. He trusts the audience. They are seeing what they see. Yeah. And this is why I can't stand WWE writers. It is constant explanation. Vince does this in everybody's ear. Got to keep announcing it. Got to keep announcing it instead of doing it once. And it's like they're watching.
Yeah.
We don't get real smart fans because you keep telling them over and over again.
Yeah. You basically taking the test for them. You got to leave it to the audience to figure out.
Yep. And that's why I love Cornette, because watching his thing, he let the audience see right in front of him. He didn't explain it over and over. It was like, it's right there. There's the story for that. And then he didn't let it simmer too long.
Yeah. I mean, and the rest of it was just up to everybody else, you know. But hey, we're in the last minute of the show. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. And Jacob, you got some words, man?
I have one quick word. I want to say that I have one quick word, and I'm sorry if I go through. We missed a topic tonight because we got so into our topics, our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Jake Sanford right now, who got cut from the Yankees. He got cut from the Yankees because he was stealing people. He was stealing his teammates' stuff, and then he was stealing it and then selling it off on Amazon or wherever, and he got caught. Let me tell you this, folks. Single A gets $11,000 a year. Double A gets $11,000 a year. Get 13 for Triple A. Cubs this year only finally got their people real places to live. Finally. It took this long, 2022, to get them real places. Are you telling me you can't afford $30,000 more a year? I'm not saying pay them $1 million, but most of these players don't get a bonus to live off of. They don't get the immediate bonus to live off of. Most people are not Michael Jordan. Most people aren't Tim Tebow. They aren't. Get these players paid at least $40,000. Get them a living wage, because you get this. You're also going to see gambling. You're also going to see tennis players in the futures. I will not bet in tennis because of this, because they will throw matches so they can make their own money. They bet against themselves. Start paying living wages. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are you there?
You see me? Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, I'm here. We kind of tuned out for just a little bit, but yeah, we're out of time, y'all. Hey, thanks for tuning in to Pundits Pundit. I was a feeling tonight, Denzel Snipes, aka Jay Nelson, and alongside Jacob Christner. And we will see you next Thursday at about this, well, not this exact time because we'll be going off the air. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Pundits Pundit. Next week, Uptown Jenny will be back and alongside Jacob Christner. So everyone have a good night and
take care of yourselves.